Welcome back. Now, in business, most entrepreneurs will admit that a solid capital base is the make or break towards starting and growing their businesses. For Joyce, her sport-on apparels business got a major break when she grabbed the available government procurement opportunities for women and persons with disabilities. This is the journey of sport-on apparels as prepared by Melissa Odur on today's episode of Lessons from an Entrepreneur.
Today on Lessons from the Entrepreneur, we delve into the world of clothing and apparel retail business. How Joyce runs sport-on enterprises where she churns out fabric and different clothing for customers ranging from businesses to security to schools. It's a story of motivation, hard work, and a strong, solid plan. My name is Melissa Odur, and this is Lessons from Joyce, the Entrepreneur.
My name is Joyce Wairimu. I am an entrepreneur, and I consider myself a woman in manufacturing because that is what we do. So we manufacture garments and specifically staff uniforms, school uniforms, protective clothing, and branded merchandise. So I run a company called Sport-on Apparels and Branding. Sport-on Enterprises, which is a group, started in 2015, and it started as a general supplies company. So we started supplying everything, basically like any other entrepreneur. So we would do stationery, we would do cutlery, but eventually we found our niche in uniforms. And how that happened is that we plugged in the provisions for government procurement in AGPO. And what that does is that it gives opportunities to the youth, the women, and the PWDs, the persons living with disabilities. So we plugged in as women, supplying things to different government organizations. So we found ourselves doing the categories that are reserved for that group.
Joyce began her journey into the clothing and apparel business by venturing into related business fields that eventually opened her eyes.
So eventually, as we supplied, we just got interested in uniforms. We started learning the ropes, and eventually we started producing ourselves, and that was in 2019. I always wanted to do supplies, but I didn't know where to start. Initially, I was in real estate. I was running a real estate company, and then one day I just decided I'd like to take a different route, and so I had to come up with a name. So I remember it was on a day, I just talked to a friend, and she told me how to register a company and how to go about the supplies business. And I remember on that day, it was actually on 13th of April, I slept with a name. And for me, it was just like, this is it. So Sport-on came up.
Joyce also takes us through some of the machines and equipment that Sport-on enterprises use in their day-to-day operations, from cloth printing, cutting of fabrics and production, to the eventual product.
We started as a small company, so just running by myself, like any other small business. And I basically outsourced a lot. I think I had like 2 people in the office, so eventually I got an assistant as we grew. Currently now we have I have a sitting assistant. I have about 6 to 8 fundis whenever we are very busy. That's how we have survived. We do screen printing, and this is a screen printer. It is 6 heads. So that now, whenever we are doing t-shirts, we have, this is our frame. So we get the film, and then you sort of, you have the frame here with the screen inside, and then you just manually spread the ink depending on what you want to paint on whatever you're printing. So this is used for doing dust coats, t-shirts, anything that you need to do screen printing. We use this machine. On this side, we have a cutting table. This is where we do our cutting for our garments. And this is critical because garments are really made by how well you cut them. So it has to be a certain height and everything, a certain length. So this is where we do our cutting. After that, then we transfer them to the production area where we now stitch. So this is our production area. So this is where the garments are basically stitched. And we have every machines for different things. And I'll start with this machine. This is a straight machine. So it's basically the machine that does the joining. So every garment is, like for you to run a garment manufacturing factory, you must have this, because it's the one that just does the joining. Then we have this machine. This is the overlock machine. So the overlock machine does this, one that does the overlocking stitch. So here it is, also very necessary for production. Then we have the buttonholer. This is the one that does the buttonhole for the shirt. Then we have the button attach machine. So this is the one that attaches the button. Then we have the overlock machine. The overlock machine does t-shirts. So it's the one that does the hemming of t-shirts and the sleeves. So it does that. It also does the stripes on tracksuit. Then we have this. It's called a 20U Singer machine. This is a multifunctional machine. It does quite a number of things. You've seen the shirts that people do, the African shirts that people do, and it has embroidery stitches, maybe on the front, more decorative. So this is a machine that does that. It also does straight. It also does buttonholes. So quite multifunctional.
The first 3 years of business setup are crucial. Joyce narrates how she addressed the emerging financial challenges and skills gap.
So like any other business, we've had our own challenges, and two that I would point out is basically finances. So we've had issues and challenges with getting finances, and especially to upscale, because every business has a growth curve, and you reach a place where now you want to move your business to that next level, and you don't have the finances. So for small business, it becomes very tricky because you either save up, or because most financiers are a bit shy to give you the finances. So that has been a challenge for us, but we are working it out with partners. I've found that SACCOs work for us best, so I personally invest in a SACCO, and I found like they've really assisted me in that. The other challenge is a skill gap, and especially in our industry, because you find that most of our fundis will come. Some of them are not well trained. Actually, they are not trained at all. Most of them have learned in the job. So you find that someone will come, they know how to use only one machine. Some of them don't even know how to stitch a full garment. So it becomes a problem, because then you have to engage several people to do the whole garment. And for us, what works is having someone who can complete the full garment.
Growing is a never-ending journey that entrepreneurs know so well. Even as Joyce forecasts for her clothing and apparel business, she keeps this in mind.
So what we have done and how we have overcome that is that we are training them. We've had a few that come here, they don't know how to operate the different machines. They probably just know how to stitch with the straight one, and we have trained them to use the buttonholer, the buttonhole, the button attach. So eventually they bill, and because the machines are here, we encourage them to keep learning. Whenever they are not so busy, get a machine and teach yourself a few things. So that has helped us, because then eventually now we are scaling down to a few people who can actually complete a full garment. In the next 5 years, we'd like to see growth. Of course, we are still on the growth curve. We are somewhere up there. We are still going up. So we'd like to have more capacity in production. So we look to adding more machines. We look to adding more different machines, different kinds of machines. There are still services that we still outsource. I showed you the screen printing machine. We don't have the embroidery machine, which we would like to have, because we use it a lot.
She also encourages those desiring to venture into this special manufacturing business that passion is a key driving force.
I would encourage anybody wishing to venture into stitching. First of all, you must have that passion, because it's not easy. Like any business, you'll have issues with the employees, people leaving, and all kind of challenges. So passion will keep you going. For young entrepreneurs and people wishing to venture into different kind of businesses, I also encourage them to go, because our economy is still young, and I think the way to develop this nation is actually to have businesses, more businesses running, because that's the only way we create employment. And our young people, really, I find them very, very innovative, and I believe they're also very sharp in many things. And they are quite daring. They are not like us. When we finished school, all of us, I think, wanted to be employed. Nowadays, I see them wanting to do things for themselves and wanting to create something. I know many young people with small companies. And I really encourage them to do that, because eventually, that's the only way we create employment. And instead of exporting our labor, can we also create employment for people around here?
So for those venturing into the dressmaking and clothing industry, finding that unique client and serving their interest and their needs is paramount. For Lessons from the Entrepreneur, this is Melissa Odor.